Hello friends, welcome to the Leaf Sonata. My name is Marquita. If you saw my previous video and you decided to come over and have a little chat with me about the little girl that lives down the lane, thank you so much for coming back, and I really hope you enjoy this review. The novel is by Lard Koenig. Oh, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And if you have read the book, please let me know in the comments below what you thought about it. If you've seen the movie, how do you like the movie? If you've read the movie and seen the book, which did you like best? What I liked more than anything, since I've seen the movie I don't know how many times before I read the book, is that the dialogue is almost word for word. I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies, one of my absolute favorite movies. And if you've seen the film adaptation or movie as I'm talking about, it stars Jodie Foster and Martin Sheen. And the book, like the movie, is about a little girl who, well, you can't really say is a little girl. This is more of a coming of age story. It is about a teenager. We'll say teenager because she has too much wisdom to be classified as a little girl. So this book is about Ren. I believe her name is pronounced Ren. And she is English. She has moved to the United States, New England, with her father, who is a poet. And he's very aloof. And so they're sort of recluse. They've moved to a village, so they actually have to go into town to do shopping. Her father's rarely seen, and so is she. And so her father, as I mentioned, is a poet. She's homeschooled for the most part, really doesn't have any friends. No one really comes over. And she's a very nosy landlord who's always poking her nose in and butting in. So the book and movie, if I'm not mistaken, begin with Ren on her birthday, which is the last day of October. So that's how the book starts as well. And she has surprise visit or knock on the door, and it's from the landlord's son, who is an absolute creep of a person, a creep, very entitled. And so he supposedly is supposed to be going ahead of his children while they're trick-or-treating to make sure that all the homes are safe, so to say, but it's just really being nosy. And so they have a very cold interaction, and he's very untrustworthy. You can feel that. And he's really trying to fill her out, and she's trying to get her out of her home type of situation. But of course, after this night, he's going to continue to pop up here and there. And he and his mother also don't have a very good relationship, but they sort of run the town. The Hallets kind of run the town. So they are people of power. So unfortunately for Ren, that first time meeting him would not be the last. And unfortunately too, her father is not around. And so that's looked at very negatively too, because what she's noticing is that even though she's mature for her age, people don't really listen to her or respect her. And so without her father's presence and him outing out, standing up for her, like I mentioned, he's very recluse, almost like not there, people don't listen and don't respect her. And she's very upset about her station in life, which she has as much wisdom and knowledge as she has. Although she's homeschooled, she is very worldly, so to say, because she's traveled with her father and she understands how things work. She's very mature for her age. And so this book is about her relationship with those in the village, especially this creep of a guy, and kind of newfound family as well, and how much so and why is the reason that she is so private, so secretive, very careful about what she says. What is Ren hiding? And so you go on to read in the book. She has a huge secret. So there are a few twists in the book. There's also a love interest in the book. It is kind of a coming of age story, although she's very young. She has a strong need to survive. And so you find out, don't read the blurb on the back. Don't read there's a blurb on the inside too. It's gonna give away too much. And as you can see, I have tabbed this so much. If you have watch the movie already, you'll, when you're reading this for the first time, you'll notice, and you can almost watch the movie and read this at the same time, like as though it's an audiobook almost, you know? The dialogue is almost exactly the same from beginning to end. There are a couple of things that are different, but not so different it takes away, it doesn't, or the story doesn't follow the same, but there's just some slight differences in the book and the movie, but they're both equally amazing. The only difference between the movie is where you can see cinematically, you can see fall. In the book, you read and you really get more into the mind of how she's feeling and experiencing fall in New England at this time. And it's much more dreary. The book is much more darker. The book, and you can't classify it as a horror, don't get me wrong, but it does have that gothic, like, oh yes, definitely gothic like feel. The way the home is described, the weather is described, the feelings, the shudders, like you experience that reading much more so than watching the movie. The suspense is the same as well. The description of characters are a little different for who they casted as the character, just slightly, as far as just the physical appearance. And this is now in my top 10 favorite books of all time, and I'm gonna show you why. Because I do in general have very good, I haven't read very many books this year. I've read 72 books this year, and out of 72 books, the majority were just great. I've had a great reading year with several 4 and 5 star reads, but to look at overall everything I've ever read, yeah, this is in the top 10. Another thing that it's really cool about Ren, that kind of tells you a good little bit about her character, is that she's a big Emily Dickinson fan. And I know a little bit of Dickinson's work, but she's never just been one of my most favorite poets. But you get that sense and that vibe, her love of words, the details that she pays attention to things, the things that she appreciates in life. You really get that Emily Dickinson vibe from Ren. So it makes perfect sense. She loves to read. I love books where characters are either in publishing, they're authors, they love to read. I love books that feature characters that love what I love. But I want to give you a taste. You know what? I bet the first page sets the tone for the whole book. Has all the fall feels. This was the perfect read for November. So, and this is not giving, it's not going to give anything away. Just want you to see why I appreciate it. The writing, it's so rich, so beautiful. First line: it was the kind of evening the little girl liked best. She stood at the window on this last night of October and looked out on the world shivering on the edge of winter. Cold wind rattled the dead flower stalks in the garden and scraped the maple's naked branches, sending the last of their dry leaves flying like torn black paper into the dark. Suddenly the girl pulled the window curtains and closed out the night. Oh! So from there, you have very much an atmospheric writing style. And I say that because it's just not here and there. It's atmospheric throughout the entire book. That's what places it so high on the list of my favorite things to read, because that's what I look for. When I know I'm gonna love a book, it's gonna sit with me after I finish reading it for days and days and weeks, and I'm gonna talk about it like forever, is because of the atmosphere or the world building. I could so see myself here. Oh my goodness. She also loves classic music. So do I. Classical music. It's just been wonderful. I don't want to give too much of it away. but there were so many lovely, lovely, oh, I can't read that. Oh, I can read this one. This is the last one. This is the last one. It's very short. The night, a living presence, was in constant motion, shifting itself, sighing, breathing. She wondered if perhaps it too was trying to get warm. That's what I'm looking for. This was the best fall November read. And so it starts the last day of October and it goes into November. It ends before the true like dead of winter. Absolutely perfect. So if you want to get creeped out, but not spooky, if you want to get creeped out, and it, like I said, it's not a horror novel, but it does give you that gothic atmosphere. This is an excellent read for you, and I hope I didn't give too much of it away, but there are quite a few twists, quite a few shocking parts in the book where you didn't really see that coming, especially if you have not read the book or seen the movie. But I will say this, I guess it could be a trigger warning. I'm trying to figure out how to say it without giving it away. There's definite racism in this book where, like I mentioned, the Hallets before, they make several racist remarks, but it's not written in a way where it glamorizes or glorifies the characters at all. It makes them, very unlikable. So I appreciate that they were written in that way. Not that it was acceptable. It's you when you read it, this is not acceptable. They're just bad people. They're bad people. Wow. Is that an understatement? And also too, I don't want to give too much away. There's some inappropriate behavior because of his age. There's some inappropriate behavior because of his age from Mr. Hallett, things that he says that he ought not say. And there is some strong language. So not extremely explicit, but there is some strong language in the book. And I think that is enough to share so that if any of those things, and when I say some strong language, I believe maybe 5 words throughout the entire, I'll say 5 to 7 words throughout the entire 217 pages. So if that's something that you would find would, help you in making your decision whether or not you want to read this book, for strong language, if you want to avoid that is one thing. And as I mentioned before, Mr. Hallett says some very inappropriate things, but I don't want to give too much away. So, and that's it. I don't think there are any other explicit. No, there's nothing explicit about this novel, but it's definitely for a mature audience. So I hope that was enough to whet your palate to see if this is something that you would like to test, try. And I don't know if hopefully it's up your alley, but I did purchase this book on eBay and I do believe it's out of print. So it may be a little tough to get your hands on it, but I believe there are several other copies on eBay. So happy reading, friends. If you've read it already, seen the movie, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. And I will see you again in the next video.